Hello, this is Nancy Heins-Glaser with Meet the Artist here on SOMAtv. I'm here today with Pat Brady Danzig, who's been on with me before. Hello, Pat.
Hi, nice to see you again,
Nice
Nancy.
to see you again. And
Thank you.
You've been, I think you were one of my earlier guests, and also your husband. So
That's
I've had the
right.
pleasure of having you both on it. Tonight we're here to talk about a couple of exciting things, including a book that you're writing, a
That's
fable.
right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Tell us about your book, because you are an opera singer.
Right.
So how are you making the leap to book?
Well, I always loved to write when I was in school, and I always got very good marks in English, but it has never been my first thrust of activity. And the last couple of years, I've been auditing courses at Seton Hall, and a couple of them were Italian courses. And I had these lovely, lovely, beautiful Italian ladies teaching, very patient with me. And one of the classes, we had to give 2 oral speeches in Italian, which was really fun because you had to memorize them. And I sat down to write one of them, and I said, I can't do what all these kids do. I was the only old person in the class. And I said, I can't do what these kids do. I can't say, well, I went to the shore with my mother, and my brother came from California. I said, I can't do that. My children are all grown up. I've got to do something different. So I sat down and I started to write my speech, and out came this story about a little mouse. And the story just led itself, 4, 5, 6 pages. And at the end of it, I had a story. So then I had to translate it into Italian, which I did. And I gave the talk to the class. My teacher loved it. She said, I just love it. In fact, she gave me a B+ in the course, which I did not deserve.
Well, somebody thought so. That's why teachers are in that position. Somebody who's better at that.
I should go back and study more Italian. But anyway, she loved it, and she said, you know, Signora, you really should turn that into a book. So I said, I think I will. So I got in touch with some people who are in a women's group that I'm in, a business women's group, and one of them is a publisher, and she said, go ahead and do it. I'll handle it for you. So there was my publisher. I had the story in the 2 languages. I went to the teachers at Seton Hall with the story when I had it translated. They made all kinds of corrections in grammar. I said, God forbid I edit this book and the Italian is not
incorrect.
correct.
Right.
So we worked a lot on that. And then I had seen the artwork of 2 young artists, both of which were very, very good, but I wasn't that thrilled about it. I was looking for a certain kind of humor in the figures. There'd be a mouse, a little girl, and guess what, a cat. So I wanted the figures to be humorous and very beautifully drawn. So I didn't go after either one of the first 2. And there's a little deli that I frequent in West Orange. And every Saturday, the daughter of the owner is the cashier. And I got talking with her one day, and I said, what do you do? And she said, I just graduated from the School of Visual Arts. And I said, oh my gosh, that's where my son went. Remember my
Yes,
son
of course I
Matt, who was
do.
a wonderful artist. And his art is his profession. So I said, why don't you send me something? So she sent me a few things on the web, and I said, there's my artist. It was the funniest thing, just by accident.
At the deli.
At the deli.
Yeah.
So she's been working with me. We've been working with the publisher, and hopefully it will be published sometime later this summer. And I think to myself, you know, I've never done a book signing, but here's a whole new thrust to my life.
Absolutely. And actually, I've had a couple of guests who have come on to talk about what they're doing now isn't what they had
No, not
any
at all.
idea that they'd be doing.
Not at all.
So,
We may even do a sequel. Who knows?
what is it called again?
It's called Fabrizio's Fable. His name is Fabrizio. And the little girl is Maddalena. And then we have the cat, El Gatto, very nasty cat. And the story is about how he fools the cat into not eating him. And that's why I wanted somebody who could get the humor into the figures, and this girl does that
She
so
did that.
well.
What is her name?
Grace Min,
Okay.
Korean.
So we'll have to make sure we give
Oh,
Grace her
loves-
proper due.
She should come over.
Okay, that'd be
She's
great.
a lovely, lovely girl. So what we're doing is we are having, for example, 2 or 3 paragraphs in English on this page and the same thing in Italian on the facing page, so that if we get it to Italian children, they will be able to read it. So we have 2 markets that we can go to. And in fact, I've read it to a couple of my grandchildren, and my one little grandson, Matthew's little boy, I read it to him, and he said, Nanny, read it again, read it again. So I said, okay, there's my audience.
So there's your audience, so you knew you were on the
So
track.
it's just one of those things that happened unaccounted for, and which I'm enjoying immensely.
Well, and you also, your husband's been a writer, a long time writer. How many books does he have at this point?
I'm not sure, I forget.
7, 8? I don't know.
A lot.
Quite a few. And former CEO of Hearst Paper, so he might know something about writing, I think. Wouldn't you say that's safe to say?
Oh, sure.
But we're also here, and when you told me about Italian, I think it's kind of fascinating that you decided to take up Italian. And I'm sure there's motivation in there, and it wasn't the story you started off wanting to seek, but I would assume some of it has to do with opera and wanting to fully really embrace what you were singing all these years.
You absolutely hit it on the head. I have been singing in Italian for, 40 years, and love it, and have had all kinds of master classes and concerts for students, trying to get them to hear it and to love it as I do. It is la bella lingua, the most beautiful language. And most of the popular operas are written in Italian. So that's been a very basic thing for me in my life, and I thought, I really owe it to the Italians to learn their grammar and to speak it properly. And certainly I would love to go there and stay there for a while and be immersed in it and just speak, because I really love languages. So that's how that came about, and when I get time, I'm going to go back and audit some more Italian courses.
Wonderful. Well,
Yeah.
you'll be able to maybe enrich a lot of people in the audience, make that decision too.
Yes.
And especially older folks like me. Anyway, one of the reasons we're here tonight, although not exclusively, is we're talking about a concert that you have coming up to benefit your music foundation. So if you would, it's coming up soon, so when this is airing, it may have already passed, but I know your music foundation accepts donations at any time, right?
That's correct.
Tell us a little bit, before we talk specifically about the concert, about your foundation.
My foundation is called PBD Associates, and it was established about 17 years ago, and it means Professional Bicultural Development Associates, and it's also my initials, PBD. And what we do is we sponsor young musicians from here and abroad in concerts. We sell tickets on their behalf. We present them on TV, we send them on tours, we give them scholarships, we present them on CDs. And over the 17 years, we have helped over 300 musicians, and to the tune of about $250,000. So it's a small foundation, but we do a lot, and we're very arts-oriented and very, very active. In fact, I was thrilled last Sunday, which would have been the 20th
Of May,
of
2010.
May 2010,
Right.
on 60 Minutes. There was about 1/3 of the program, a very long segment, on Gustavo Dudamel, the young genius conductor who's out in Los Angeles now. And he has a youth orchestra called YALA, YOLA, Youth Orchestra of Los Angeles. And what he does is he goes to children who are in very bad situations, as he was in Venezuela, and he is forming this sistema in Los Angeles for these children. And there was a whole segment, and it showed very young children with small violins that he's been able to get for them, and it showed their progress. And then this youth orchestra that he has established out there. And I thought, this is just such a wonderful thing to see music so busy and so active, because in so many cases, when budgets are cutting anything, they cut the arts and music. So I was thrilled to see that, because I'm a real activist for music in the schools and so forth. I'm a former public school music teacher, and I'm all for that. And I get upset when they cut the programs that reach our soul. So I was very happy to see that program.
Now, I recall watching a program on that person as well. What is his name again?
Gustavo Dudamel.
Right, and
He's-
it's Sistema. It's basically
Las-
starting them very, very early
Well,
and
what happened
progressing.
was, yes, this elderly man, I think the man is in his 80s now, he established this type of schooling called La Sistema in Venezuela for children who were roaming the streets, who were orphans, who were getting into all kinds of trouble. And I think it would be great if people in New Jersey would think about something like that, because there are a lot of children like that. And Dudamel was brought into the program at a very young age and played the violin.
In
And
Venezuela.
in Venezuela,
I know.
La Sistema. And he became a gifted young conductor and was discovered a few years ago in his early 20s by somebody famous and given a chance here, and he's in demand all over the world, and he's really wonderful. I saw him at New Jersey PAC, and he's got this mound of black curly hair and great enthusiasm, and he's really great.
Well, and speaking of that, you always have enthusiasm for the music shows that you produce to benefit others. You know, I have 2 minutes left for this segment, but when did you first start doing the concerts? You started your foundation, did you say 17 years
About
ago?
17 years ago, yeah.
And so when did you decide that doing the concerts was a huge piece of that? Because we have a minute and a half left, but...
Well, I felt that should be part of it, and I felt that young artists should be presented. And you know what's so funny is that we have never put out any kind of advertisement for artists. They find us, and we have attracted the most wonderful talent, which I will elucidate on when we have time.
And we'll be having a chance to hear somebody on our way out to break. I
Yes,
think we
very
have.
good.
That's Jose. We'll talk, right, Jose? We'll talk a little bit about Jose when we come back. He's going to be in your concert.
His name is Luis
Luis
Emilio Cabrera.
Cabrera. Okay. Oh, well, it's a good thing you're not testing my foreign languages this evening. But what I wanted to say is that you've been able to reach across the world through music, and I think that's inspiring to all of us. And when we do come back from break, we're going to find out about all the countries of people that you've helped and what it meant to them when they went back home. So, all right, we're going to go out for a break, and don't turn that dial. Come on back and finish listening to the conversation with Patricia Brady Danzig.
In this economic downturn, libraries across New Jersey are reporting jumps in attendance of as much as 50% over the past year. Nearly 200,000 people use our computers every week.
Who'd have guessed that I'd be job hunting at my age? After spending several hours at home trying to upload my resume, I was just overwhelmed. My library showed me how to do it. Now I'm gaining back my confidence.
New Jersey libraries are transforming lives. Tell us your story.
And welcome back. I'm here with Pat Brady Danzig, and we're talking about a particular fundraising event, an evening of musical and gourmet delights, Saturday, June 5th at 7 p.m. at Grace Church in Nutley, right?
Correct.
And this is to benefit your foundation, the PBD
Well,
Music Foundation.
It's also to benefit the church.
Okay.
The lady who is the pastor is a good friend of mine, and I don't know if you recall, but I'm also an organist
I do remember you
as
telling
well
me that.
as a singer. And I love to play the organ, and I have played for her on several occasions. So she's been very gracious to us, and the reason that we have gone back to Grace Church for 2 or 3 performances is that the whole inside of the church is wood. And when you sing or play the piano in there, the resonance is fantastic. You think you're in Carnegie Hall. So I always love to go there. It's a small church. It seats 300 people, which we certainly will fill. And may I speak about our artists?
I hope you do. Just fill us in a little bit, because I think these are some artists not only being featured now, but you may have worked with them before, or,
Yes.
correct?
Lois Buser, who is our accompanist, is also my accompanist and works with me in my studio here in South Orange. She comes and plays for me a couple of times a week, and she's amazing. And then I spoke about Luis Emilio Cabrera, who is on the CD that we may be listening to, and he's a young tenor, emigrated from Cuba when he was 5 years old. And a few years ago, I was putting together a Spanish CD called Ojos Verdes, after my eyes, green eyes, and that's the theme of it. And there were 2 duets that I wanted to do on the album, and they both required a tenor voice. And several tenors heard about it and sent me demo tapes, but they weren't quite what I wanted. And somebody said, you have to hear Luis, and I had never met him before. So Luis came, and he sang from his repertoire, and I said, that's the sound I want. It's the sweetest, sweetest voice. He has all the high notes. He has all the money notes. And the sweetest, sweetest voice. And I said, that's wonderful. And when I listened to those 2 duets on the album, I'm so glad, because the voices just blend so well. So that's Luis. The other thing about Luis is he's done several operas here and in New York. He's done Carnegie Hall. He's done Avery Fisher Hall. He's worked with famous singers. We're hoping perhaps we can get him to the Assisi Festival this summer. He's been asked to do that. But the thing about working with Luis, if you're going to sing an opera with Luis, he knows your part, he knows his part, he knows everybody's parts, and he knows everybody's cues. So he's wonderful to work with, extremely well prepared, and a very lovely young man. So we're very happy to support him. We've given him several scholarships. We've given him tours, etc., as well as being on the album. And I'm hoping that he'll be on my new album, which I'm working on this year. If you want to talk about that after, I will.
Exactly. And then you also have...
Yes, we have a piano trio called the Pell Trio. And where did we get the name, you ask?
Where did you get the name, Pat?
The trio started out with Patricia, Elise, and Liz. But guess what? Elise left.
Okay,
So
but
we-
you're still Pell?
We said we're still calling it Pell. We now have Nancy. We have PNL, but we're calling it Pell Trio. We have Nancy Lederer, who is the daughter of a wonderful musician, and her daughter, Allegra Whitfield, just won a scholarship and concert in a cello competition. She's 12 years old, and she's a prodigy. So Nancy's daughter will be playing in the concert with us. And Liz Cabrera is a well-known cellist and teacher. So they're very highly professional. And we've just started out in the past year, and we have just booked our 6th engagement. So we're very, very happy about that. We do classical music, Haydn, Beethoven, Schumann, and we also do pop music. So it's something for everybody.
Yeah, and I'd say the range of your music talent is something for everyone also. I know that you're talking about this year. This is from 2010, February, Ireland on Parade, but you're hoping we can have something like that around here, right? We do have a few Irish folks from the Ireland area here.
We have a lot of Irish support in this area. They have wonderful Irish parades in West Orange.
And we all want to
Montclair.
be, even if we're not.
Everybody is, at
That's
least.
right.
This is called Ireland on Parade, and it's something that we've been doing in different cities around the country for about the last 10 years. And this year, it was in Mamaroneck. And I wasn't that familiar with Westchester, but I found that the people of Westchester are the nicest, most welcoming
Outside of
souls.
South Orange and Maple.
Absolutely.
Outside, right. Right, and
Loved it. And so anyway, what we do is we use local talent. We use pipers, we use Irish step dancers, we have an MC, and we always have a choir. And right now, we're in the talking stages of perhaps doing it in South Orange. That's all I can tell you right now.
maybe
I think-
next year you'll
I
come
think it
back
would
and
be
have them on.
great, yes.
Would you do that?
Oh,
And this is
sure.
how I know you first, from Romania. I know that you went to Eastern Europe. That was one of the first places that your foundation reached to, if I recall you telling me,
Yes.
because it was so underserved and so not exposed at the time to the younger set. I think you have always had an interest in the younger set, being
Well, I think-
educated in music.
I think
so.
being a teacher too, you always want to, at least I feel I want to inspire young people to sing and to be involved in music in some way. And my story with Romania began in 1980 when I had my first tour there. And young musicians would come to me and say, we want to come to your country. Will you help us? Will you get us visas? Will you get us concerts? And at the time, as you know, it was a communist country. And they could not leave the country. So I just felt as though it was fate that I was dropped there somehow and was able to try to help them. So we made arrangements for a few of them to come over a few years. And my husband and I paid for everything at the time. And my friend, my dear friend, said, why don't you set up a foundation? So after a few years of our support, we said, let's do this nonprofit. Then we can garner help from a lot of people. But it started in Romania with Romanian artists, and we brought quite a few of them here. And because of my association with that country and the times that I have been there, being that it's surrounded by other countries and it's so small, I have met musicians from all over the world. We've had people from Italy, Sicily, Poland, France, Ireland, many, many European countries. And this all happened because I was dropped in this particular communist country. I mean, it's just one of those fateful
Did
things.
you sing or play there?
I
when you went
sang
to-
there.
Okay.
Yeah, I still go there, yes.
And I know that, it's very frequent actually that you
Yeah,
return.
yes.
So, yes, it sort of was the start of something big.
It was,
right?
and it was really a wonderful blessing because I was the mother of 5 young children, never dreamed that I would sing internationally. So there again, fate stepped in and I was able to do that and met some wonderful friends there who sponsored me to come back over and over. So that's been wonderful.
Well, and both you and your husband have foundations. You both give freely to others. In Bob's case, I think a lot of his foundational support goes for children.
Yes,
And
a lot for foster children.
foster children,
Yes.
because he was a foster kid, and I think you probably never forget that, and
I
all the
think-
people along the way that
I-
helped him.
I think all those things, like my Irish background helped me, and my teaching background helped me, and having a large family helped. All of these things come into play in your life. And you really, when you've been so blessed, you just really want to help other people. I think it's kind of a mission that you have, and it makes you very happy.
Well, and you always are. Anytime I see you, and I see you waving at people on the train at one of our local restaurants, so I know you're always in a good spirit, and it's because you're coming from a good place. I'm hoping that part of why we're sharing this also is not only to get some attendance at your event for the young musicians and
Yes.
support them. I know that that's essential, but also to share your message with the kids out there. So, because in a few years they won't be kids.
That's right.
And it'll be up to them to carry on some of what you and your husband have been doing.
That's
But-
right.
Now, what else do you have planned besides a book, besides opera, besides music? You have anything else going on in your life right now?
Well, I'm in the midst of gathering material for my latest CD, which is going to be a compilation of religious music from all different sources, and I've called it Believe. I was going to call it Credo, which is Latin, and of course, being raised in the Roman Church, I was raised with the Latin language. But I thought a lot of people might not know Latin anymore, so I said, let me just call it Believe. And I have gotten music from people in Poland. I am going to hear a young people's choir in New Jersey this Saturday night, and hopefully they'll be a part of the album. Luis will be singing the Panis Angelicus, which is a very famous church piece. I'm going to be singing a couple of Italian prayers. I'll also be singing the Rejoice from the Messiah, which is also a prayer. And I'm searching right now for a very, very good gospel choir. I haven't done that yet. but I'm looking forward to that. I also want to get an exceptional 4-part choir, so that we'll have a potpourri of different types of church music. Church music is not just the organ and hymn singing. There's so many forms of it. So this is what I want to do with this particular album. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, and maybe you'll get some response from our show. Because
That's
we have
one
lots of great
never
gospel
knows.
choirs
Yeah.
and
Oh, I
4-part
know.
harmony choirs.
Anybody
and-
out there, call me up.
Right, and it's www.pbd.org, is that correct?
PBD.com.
Okay.
That's my website.
Okay.
PBD. Paul Bob David. PBD Music.
Pat Brady Danzig.
PBDmusic.com.
Okay.
Yes, and there's a lot on there. One other thing, this program is also on my web. We do that. We send out an e-card, and we sent to about 800 people this time. Just push a button. It's amazing. But if people go to my website, they'll see a little gold star, and all they have to do is touch that, and all of this will come up, plus bios of all of the artists.
Wonderful.
And there's one other, do I have time?
You have about a minute.
I want
And
to
the minute could
mention,
be yours.
I want to mention Dr. Deborah Simpkin-King, who is artistic director and founder of the Schola Cantorum on Hudson, and they are a many-voiced choir. I'm not sure how many singers we'll have. She said somewhere between 20 and 40. So we will have a choir in this program. There's something for everybody.
That's
And
fantastic.
she's just an amazing musician, an amazing director. So we're very happy to have her. So we have Lois Buser, Luis Cabrera, the Pell Trio, the Schola Cantorum, and I'm going to be singing a Mozart aria, and I'm also going to be premiering a French song from a composer in Montreal who sent it to me. So it's going to be a great program.
I would say so.
Come,
International.
everybody come.
International. An evening of musical and gourmet delights. And we're just about ready to wrap up, and I want to thank you. I don't know how long ago it was you were on, but it's always too long when I don't have you on. And I want to thank you guys out there in our viewing audience for watching, and have a look at all the things that are going on Pat's website. And thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good day.